News as it happens from the University of Calgary. U of C. This is Now.
Spread behind me are some of the rarest and most valuable works within a large collection on the history of neuroscience. This is a collection that has just recently arrived here. It's a collection that was built over a 30-year time period by a neurologist in Houston, Texas, a man by the name of Robert Gordon, who had spent his career in neurology as a physician, but who began to collect books on the field, and has just built a magnificent compendium of marvelous works. He built a collection of 2,500 works. The earliest work is from 1560, and it runs right on up to the last half of the 20th century. He really wanted a collection that in its totality would convey the complete understanding of the history of neuroscience. And talking about its importance is while it enriches our collection, most importantly is what it does as a research source. So that's why we have partnered with the Hotchkiss Brain Institute. That's why Brenda Mackie and her family have played such a critical role for the university in partnering with us to acquire this collection.
You know, one of the most important elements, I think, of understanding the history of neuroscience is that it probably shows students as well as faculty members that we're not that much smarter than people were 4 centuries ago. We may be beneficiaries of new technologies, abilities to analyze things in a more microscopic way, but the unraveling of the mystery is very similar now to what it was centuries ago. So we often recreate history in our discoveries of today. So understanding the progression of thinking from the earliest, again, 4 or 5 centuries ago to today actually humbles us in a way, grounds us to some extent, and makes sure that we align some of our thinking with some of the previous thinking. So I think it's truly a magnificent day for us in having this collection now be part of us, and we're grateful to the Mackie family for their support. We're grateful to the university and the Libraries and Acquisition Group for co-sponsoring the acquisition of this. And we're looking forward to making sure that everyone will have this knowledge now available to them to improve the research and education in the neurosciences.
Books have always been something that I love. So when this book collection came along, for me, I just thought that was the perfect fit. What struck me about the collection was the fact that we're looking at something from 500 years ago that has been preserved for that long, and that historical aspect really was amazing to me, that there's something that old that people can still get value from and use, and I just don't think that that will happen anymore.
These are originals. I mean, these are the real things. So to have these names and this material in Calgary is fantastic, and then the next step obviously is to make it accessible and make it, freely accessible on the internet or the web to all who have an interest.
It's cool to see the first edition books from some of the giants in our field that we've been learning about in class. So guys like Golgi, Ramon y Cajal. It's cool to see that for them, learning was a process too, just like it is for us. One of the courses that we're taking right now is actually a history and ethics in neuroscience course. So we're learning how the ethical theories in neuroscience came to be, and the process by which things like the neuron doctrine were discovered. So having these texts there to help us through the process of understanding how our field basically came to be, how it developed, is a great tool, because we can see through these original texts the progression by which neuroscience developed.
When a neurologist or a neurology resident comes across a case of multiple sclerosis, they'll be able to see the first depiction of a multiple sclerosis tract. When someone comes across a case of Alzheimer's disease, which they will come across very often, unfortunately. We have Alzheimer's first description. This collection has hundreds of first descriptions of interesting diseases, interesting and anatomical structures in the brain and the nervous system. And I would hope that when students or practicing neurologists come across an interesting case, they would be able to come to this collection and look it up. And every collector, the dream of every book collector is that his collection that he spent years and years and years acquiring lovingly and emotionally, that his entire collection would remain intact and not be sold off at auction or given away piece by piece. And the opportunity to sell my collection at and have it kept as a collection was irresistible to me. So that's what I tried to do, and the University of Calgary responded.